I'm gonna warn you ahead of time, once again. If you're looking for a cute, kawaii, non-political streamer, I ain't that bitch. If you are looking for a queer streamer who isn't afraid to speak their mind, I'm your bitch. That's me, you bitch. You girl, you gal, you good gal pal. It's me. This is now, by the way, liberal teens versus conservative parents.
Everybody's choice. And because you stressed out, you go change your gender. Because you want to try something new, once you do it, you can't go back.
Hold on! Me erasing my transness because I am not stressed anymore. Guys, I'm no longer trans. I'm just gonna take the whiteboard eraser and get rid of it all. Because I'm not stressed anymore. I'm perfectly calm now. I dropped out of school, so I can't be stressed, therefore I'm not trans.
The more you throw stuff at kids...
Her face! I just noticed her face! She's looking at me, it's like, bitch, what in the fuck are you on?
Before they develop, that's indoctrination.
Oh!
Jubilee created middle ground.
Did the conservative just try to speak on indoctrination? Bitch! Please, go look at your fucking church for 5 minutes.
Uncover humanity and empathy shared among...
Oh, this video is gonna be so much fun.
Cancel culture is a good thing.
I don't know anything about either, I just want chocolate buttons. Pog. Cancel culture is a good thing. Okay. Yes and no. I think I'm gonna do like answers before they talk, and then I'll listen to their answers, and then I'll pause if I think I wanna elaborate. Cancel culture is a good thing, yes and no. I think cancel culture has the potential to work, however, I don't think it does. Firstly, also, okay, cancel culture is a good thing. Cancel culture would be a good thing, I guess. It could be a good thing, but it's not, because cancel culture does not work. You cannot say cancel culture works when people like Jeffree Star. It can be when needed, but not really. Exactly. And not only that, it just doesn't work most of the time, which is why I especially don't think cancel culture is good. Because it makes, first off, me and Doctor talked about this on our podcast. Link down below. We'll make another one eventually at some point, I promise. But me and Doctor talked about this before somewhat, where it's like, okay, there are multiple issues with cancel culture from like a parasocial relationship view, where it's like, firstly, why the fuck do we think that we have the right to be the judge and the jury in a lot of these situations? We don't. We don't. We have no place to be the judge and the jury in a lot of these situations. Secondly, when cancel culture does come into effect, and it is justified, more times than not, it does not work. Because in the way of the internet, if someone has an established fan base, certain fans will never leave that person, so they will never be canceled. And it's just not physically possible. I do think that you can stutter their career. We've seen this with David Dobrik, who used to get 20 million views and now only gets 10 million views. But it does not actually stop them from being successful. Another thing, I don't think cancel culture is good because I don't think cancel culture actually cares about growth in a lot of these situations, which you might call me like whatever the fuck you want. Call me whatever the fuck you want. But I think cancel culture could be effective if it cared about the growth of an individual. But it doesn't. Cancel culture cares about ego, and that's it. Cancel culture, in my opinion, truly does encompass the true liberal mindset, which is just like, if you've done something I agree with once, you can never be accepted into my camp ever again. I believe every human is capable of redemption. I do. And I do think that every human can fix their flaws. I am an inherently flawed human. I, at one point, was a very toxic person. That, trust me, the internet would have never been okay with me being online. But I grew past that and I changed. So it's very not okay for me to think that other people couldn't do the same. So, I think that cancel culture could work if it left room for growth, but it doesn't. It doesn't. No matter who it is, it does not leave room for growth. At the end of the day, the people who canceled David Dobrik never want to see David Dobrik come back, no matter how much he grows, no matter how much he gets better as a human being. No one ever wants to see these people come back when they are being canceled, and that is the inherent issue with cancel culture. Because cancel culture isn't actually a means to an end. Cancel culture is, I want to feel good about myself, so I'm going to bring other people down because I feel justified in their shitty behavior. Not to say their shitty behavior shouldn't be called out, because it should, and I'm going to reiterate, it definitely should. But are you calling out the shitty behavior to help them understand why it's shitty behavior and help them better themselves as a human? Or are you calling it out to one-up them and feel as though you are a better human than them? Because there are two different ways you can go about that. And one of those ways is not actually trying to make the world a better place, and is not actually what the liberal mindset states. And most liberals, as I'm sure we're going to hear here, think that it's just think they're doing a good thing for the world and that canceling is going to help because we're getting rid of this source on the internet. But doing a good thing on the world and helping other individuals is rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is how you make the world a better place. It's how you better other people's lives. It's how you make society a better place. If you're not a believer in rehabilitation, then I don't think cancel culture is something that is good, ever.
Opinion on Trump being cancelled on Twitter.
When you go onto Twitter, whatever, you check I accept the, guidelines, the community guidelines. I agree to follow them. And
I think Trump's ban on Twitter was totally justified.
Has the right to.
That's another thing. A big part about cancellation is I will say I don't traditionally believe in deplatforming too much. I think it depends. I think if someone has been proven to be a danger, for example, I would be fine, not so much with deplatforming James Charles, but making James Charles, take a break. Forcibly, take a break and, go seek out help before being allowed to go back online. And I am perfectly fine with James Charles coming back. I have no issue with it, although, James Charles is very gross. But it would have to be after, proven exemplified growth, which hasn't been exemplified and hasn't been proven beyond reasonable doubt. So, I am not one in deplatforming, but what I am one in is people need to realize that these platforms are private platforms and not government owned, nor are they, owned by public domain. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. That is the difference between cancellation and you are a part of the cog in the system. And a lot of people don't think that they are, but you are. And at the end of the day, you can be snuffed out from that system at any fucking point. And do not think that you are special because you are woke. Do not think that you are special because you are a political figure. These platforms are privately owned. Remember that. YouTube can ban you whenever. Twitch can ban you whenever. Twitter can ban you whenever. And they don't have to follow any rules because they are privately fucking owned. And that's a big thing that I think people do need to remember about cancel culture. Because there's a difference between cancel culture and the platform doesn't want you around anymore.
Take him off the app.
And people that might make the counter-argument that Twitter is biased and will only cancel right-wing politicians, that's not true at all. Twitter and other forms of social media have canceled left-wing activists. There is an equal balance.
Another thing I hate about liberals. It's always about right-wing. And this is actually the same criticism for Republicans. It is always about the opposite side, never looking at yourself. And that's another issue that they have. It's always about fighting each other. They never actually, identify the issues within their own parties and communities and issues that they need to establish.
It doesn't matter.
I think it matters to Twitter what their community guidelines are. That's why they banned Trump, because Trump violated community guidelines. That's what every platform has to look.
It is a private company. That is what blew my mind about these Republicans when Trump got banned. It is a private company. Which is the worst part, because the fucking right-wingers are always the ones who are leave it, less government, more company-owned, more capitalism and company interest and more things like that, But as soon as a company goes and does something that they don't like, all of a sudden we're against private companies. We're against private guidelines. We're against less government, and we think that there should be more enforcement. So where do we lie here?
Taliban stones people because...
And the liberals are the exact fucking same, by the way.
And they've posted videos of stoning gay people. I agree, they should be removed, and that is fundamentally wrong. No,
Except
it's not.
the problem is they're smart enough to not do that.
Hey, you know what's crazy? Not talking over her and letting her finish her point. Because she literally was agreeing with you. But for some reason, you felt the need to talk over her.
Well,
because you are old and a man and assume that a young Asian woman, doesn't have any points that you want to hear.
Why wasn't Trump
the
smart enough to
president
not do
wasn't
that?
smart enough to not do that, I guess.
If I'm an American and I have to vote between this person and this person, I need equal access to both of them to decide what's right. Bro, you could be a Klansman.
He's right, but that doesn't mean that the private companies have to be that equal access. Go to his rallies. Go to news sources that cover him. Watch his interviews. Those are equal access. Twitter does not owe you equal access to anyone.
You can say you hate black people. That's not my job to police your language. I can't expect everybody to love me and think the way I think. All y'all...
Sir, you cannot be you could say black people as a black man and then just be I don't expect everyone to love me and treat it like it's this cute, normal thing. It's not a cute, normal thing. It's not. It's not. If someone's, like, specifically not liking you because of your race, that's probably an issue. I'm sorry for whoever told you opposite, but it's okay.
America is becoming less and less safe.
I'll leave this to you guys.
This one's interesting. Because I don't agree and I don't disagree. It's also very biased because I don't live in America. I'm not a part of America. I'm not a part of American culture. I am simply here. So, and by here I mean in Canada. But this is very interesting because of the fact that it's not so much that America is getting more unsafe. There are just different avenues and different methods in which unsafe is now being classified. Right? So we see, like, an uprising in a lot of, like, queer people feeling comfortable with expressing themselves. We see a lot of uprising in black people being able to express, like, the very inherently wrong and systemic issues in America. And there's not, like, you know, direct, like, physical threats, but there are a lot of, like, social threats that are evolving. A lot of people are getting very bold on social media, stuff like that. It's not so much that I think it's getting more dangerous or it's not getting as dangerous. I think that the concept of danger and safety is changing, though. Those definitions are being, like, slightly changed.
I have a lot of friends.
Like, yes. And this is, like, a big thing that I think is something that we don't talk about, but is something that I think really needs to be brought into these discussions, where he says, I was raised a certain way, and so I am Republican. And it's like, okay, yes, and not to reiterate, but I will quickly reiterate for those who didn't just hear, but because I was talking about a lot of things. But I think this is a really important point that I'm going to make, which is, once again, it's always the argument of, like, the younger generation, including myself. I'm a 19-year-old. I am educated beyond, you know, most 19-year-olds, not to brag, but I am. So, but the difference is our younger generation is raised a different way from the older generation. So yes, we are going to think differently. And the biggest argument is always, if you were raised during my time, you'd think very differently. And it's like, yeah, we would, but you would do the exact same. If you were raised during my time, you would also think very fucking differently. So it's not like there's this overwhelming, like, no, like, you have the de facto right mindset, because your mindset would not remain the same if you were raised during my time and my mindset. That's not how it works. That's why there are things such as generational divides and generational mindsets that separate two separate generations or classes of ages that exist, because the times are different, the education is different, the resources are different. We have had readily access to the internet. We've seen around the world. We know what's happening. We are literally watching a potential war unfold, not even a potential war, a war unfold before our very eyes in high definition. And that's a horrifying thought. And first off, we're making jokes about it, which, like, oof. But that's something that they didn't have available to them. And war was always something that they knew about and, like, they probably lived through, but they, like, didn't see it unless it came to their waters, which I don't think he's old enough for that, because my grandparents are both in their late to mid 60s and they weren't alive during a war that I know that they was, like, brought to our waters. But, like, it's like, many things are different, and your opinion would also be different if you were raised during our time. Like, it's not just we would be different if we were raised during your time. So would you. And this concept of, like, my thought process is right, because if you were raised during my time, you would have a different mindset, is just so flawed, because it's the exact same the other way. So it doesn't give your thought process any more merit. What gives your thought process more merit is if you present empirical fucking evidence.
Wished I came.
I would say
Me getting stun locked on literally everything these guys say.
police force, you know, slavery was legal. The Holocaust was legal. So we can look at all of these mass atrocities and say we're doing what's right. Everybody who was a part of the Holocaust government, they were doing what Hitler said. They were doing what was right. So everybody losing
I'm gonna
their
let him
job,
finish,
not
but I
getting
need to
jobs,
talk.
vax people,
I just
you
thought
got-
was-
who can we control? Everybody who get the shot, that's who's gonna do what we say. The enemies are coming, and we don't care about that because we want to care about what color we should wear and pride and critical race theories. Like, no one else cares about that but us in America. That's our problem.
So you think that talking
Nope. Can't. Nope. Have to pause. Nope. I have to elaborate on that. I hate this mindset. I hate this thought process. It is the same fucking thought process that makes a lot of kids get depressed and mitigate how they feel. This is the same thought process that puts people in real fucking danger, because it's the idea of there are other issues in the world, so yours don't mean shit. And that is just not the fact of the matter, and it is a very dangerous fucking mindset to have. You want to know why I know this? Because I was a depressed teen. I was a suicidal teen, and I was a teen who did things like self-harm. Sorry if that's triggering. Trigger warning. I'm talking about my thing. So you lean independent, not conservative or liberal? Yeah, basically. And I hate this mindset, though, because this is exactly what used to harm me when I was younger and used to put me in these situations, because it was always a matter of someone has it worse. Worse things happened in life. Worse things went down beforehand. And that is not a fair thing to put on someone ever, because although, yes, it is true, and sometimes that advice is valid. You don't get to compare, like, trans issues to that, because although, yes, is it less, like, important that for example, is it less important to celebrate Pride than like the literal war going on in Ukraine and Russia? Yes, of course it is, because that is about like people are fucking dying for like their nationality. That's fucked. That shouldn't happen regardless. But you don't have to compare those issues ever, and it's not fair to. You can have two separate issues and you don't have to compare them or weigh them to one another. They can both be there. You don't have to be like, well, this is happening in this part of the world, so we can no longer talk about this. You can talk about the issues going on the other seas, across the border, and other governments without mitigating our own issues. Just because it's like safer to be trans here than it is in, like, for example, Nigeria, does not mean that you can't talk about the still real issues of being either a person of color, a trans person, a queer person. And that's like the worst mindset. And it's the most harmful mindset to have, because that hurts real fucking people. That makes people think that like their issues and their genuine fears and like their genuine struggles in life are not valid and are not good enough. And that's what hurts people. That's what hurts kids. That's what hurts everyone.
Why did it take weeks for us as a country to mobilize together to fight the public health crisis that was?
If one of these motherfucking Republicans say something along the lines of blaming Chinese people, I'm gonna fucking lose it.
Already affecting the nation.
It was a scam to get Donald Trump out of office. It's all fake.
Sir! Can someone give me this man's email? Can someone give me this man's email? I would like to send him something. I would really like to send him something. I would really love to send him something right now. He said that COVID was a scam to get Donald Trump out of office. I would really like to send this image to him.
100%.
Yeah,
because it's probably died
ballots were
and
biased,
dead.
That's obvious. Like,
Exactly.
It's not because mail-in ballots are fraudulent, because mail-in ballots are actually not fraudulent at all. That this election was.
Okay, bitch. I love it because it's like, this is like one of the key big issues with like most Republicans, and it's that there is always this claim of wanting to hear people, but then you do shit like this when someone is trying to explain their perspective to you. Because the old white guy, which, by the way, Granddaddy, remember when you said leave Mike alone? Guess what? He's a Republican bitch-ass bitch. I was right. I knew that he was going to be that type, and he is. I was fucking right. Eat shit, bitch. But, like, this is like the type of shit where it's like, why liberals do not want to talk to you about these things, and why there isn't a lot of coming together. And like, liberals are also like a part of this issue, 110%. But Republicans are so much more reactionary than liberals. Liberals have a lot of fake advocacy and a lot of issues in that, whereas Republicans don't even fake advocacy. Mike came back. Mike is a Jubilee regular, must be retired. True. But, like, this is exactly why, like, so many people don't want to have conversations with Republicans, because you do this. And if all you're doing the entire time, like, you're not listening to this guy. You were just being like, oop, I don't like what you said, and I'm not even going to listen to, like, maybe your valid points. You're not giving anyone an opportunity to speak other than yourself. And no one, and in that case, why would anyone give you the time of day?
Some safest election in recording over time while my parents.
I won't do it.
Conservative before.
I'll let us
when
watch
I
the
was
video.
conservative, I kind of just went off.
My news source is more reliable than the other sides.
News source.
I want to hear what your news source is. Tell me your news source is right fucking now.
News, I see a lot of conspiracies that I don't necessarily agree with, and so if everything comes from opinion and just people develop.
Okay, yes, obviously, like we all know the Republican news, but the left wing news sources are also not good either. To be clear, a lot of left wing news leaves out details and tries to paint pictures that are very biased, and they are very biased. They will not report a lot of stuff if it does not fit their narrative. So, yes, exactly. There is a lot of like left-leaning news that is also bad. So like, I want to hear. Don't start it by ripping into the opposition's news sources. Bitch, tell me what fucking news sources you use.
Their own ideas, it just doesn't seem reliable.
I always try to find independent publishing news sources and either try to find like sources in which are from the situation. Yeah, most news sources push an agenda. Exactly. And that's why I try to find independent news sources myself when I do my own private research, or I watch content creators that I know will either show their sources or upfront have reliable sources. Good example. Shout out to Hassan ABI. You might hate him. You might not hate him. Whatever your opinion is on him. I watch him a lot. I use him for a lot of my news, and he shows his sources. He gives his sources up front about what he is looking at. So even if his sources aren't, the best, I can still find them, and I can still check them myself. And that's more important to me than, like, always finding someone who is good. Abi, yeah. I never know how to say it because everyone says it differently. I'm so sorry. I mainly watch his YouTube, so.
I feel like the only way we can get unbiased news is in order for...
I usually always just call him Piker. Hassan Piker, but I know his username's Abi.
Not necessarily be 100%.
Been spoiled for so
I'm gonna
long.
let them finish.
They're trying to make it so a man can't be a man, and if you don't let men...
Sorry, caught off guard. I'm gonna let him finish though.
Things start crumbling. Society crumbles, families crumble, and broken homes start happening.
And kids need a father. 36% of kids don't have a father. So every boy is, well, my mom is mad at me, my dad don't love me, my dad don't care about me.
Okay. No, we're gonna pause right here. I know I said I would let them finish. You know what? No, I will let them finish.
Hey, maybe I should be trans. I don't know who I am. And your father puts confidence in you. No disrespect to anybody, but the younger generation of men are soft. And if we had to go to war, they're not protecting America. There's no better place to be as a black individual or whatever you are in America. Go to the Middle East right now and say you gay or you trans and see how they treat you.
Let's talk about this. Because guess what? This is great because I have personal experience in all of this. Not obviously the black part. As you can see, I'm clearly full of melatonin. It's not melatonin, is it? It's called, I don't know what it's called. I can't remember. I'm so stupid. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Off topic, sorry, lol, but as the Easter Bunny is so adorable from your Insta. Thank you. I love it. His threat of annihilation is all from outside sources. What about the threat people face in their own country? I mean, the Cuban Missile Crisis is a huge thing, but so is systematic racism. Exactly what I mean. Melanin. I did. I'm sorry. You talk about how, you know what? For a minute, let's pretend that he's right. Let's fake it and pretend that you have a father figure in your life, and that way, if you always have a father figure in your life, there will be no trans people, there will be no mental illness, there will be nothing. I have a very involved father. I have an amazing father who's very supportive and supports me everything I do. He is not feminine. He is a man's man. And I'm still trans, and I'm still mentally ill, severely. I have a lot of mental issues. I have a lot of issues in my life. I am trans. I am queer. So I am living proof that your stupid fucking opinion, where I have a standard nuclear house, nothing was special about my upbringing. I have very supportive parents. I love them to death, and they're very supportive of me. I have exactly what he is talking about. A man in the man's position. A mom in the mom's position. My mom works a full-time job, but I think most mothers do nowadays. So that's the only thing that's different from mine. And I've turned out the exact way he says I shouldn't turn out. So where does your logic lie? Because I am living fucking proof that your agenda and your bullshit is full of shit. And that there is no actual empirical value to that idea. I was born a man and I've transitioned into a non-binary, borderline trans woman depending on how I feel. We'll move past that. So it doesn't fucking matter about this whole having a man in the man's position or having a dad figure. Because I had that, and guess what? I'm still trans, and my parents are very proud of me. So where does your fucking position lie now, moron? Like, it's so fucking stupid when people make these arguments, because I'm living proof that it's not a fact, and that you're just an idiot. You're just an idiot, and you just have to, like, accept the fact that you're an idiot. Furthermore, moving on, you, like, lightly touched upon, like, you know, a lot of people wouldn't survive in, like, the black community in which I grew up in, da-da-da-da. Okay, but why are you putting that on the kids and not the government and institution that put you in that situation? Why do you think that the situation that most black men face in society and in, like, low income areas that suffer from over-policing, why is that on the kids? Why are you blaming the kids there? Why do you want the kids to go through that? Shouldn't you not want the kids to go through that? Aren't you going to have a family and hopefully not be put in that situation because you know that they shouldn't? So why are you trying to act like it's this building character moment? It's not. You know it's wrong. You are basically admitting it's wrong yourself. So why are you trying to push this agenda? It makes no fucking sense. And you're so stuck on this idea of, like, the perfect nuclear family that you're not even realize how many holes you're poking in your own fucking argument.
And I would say in the environment that I grew up in, the teen pregnancies come from girls without fathers. The homicides come from people without fathers.
Are you fucking kidding me? The teen pregnancy comes from girls without fathers? How about a man learns how to wear a fucking condom? What a crazy fucking concept. How about we don't put all of the fucking expectations on childbirth and child labor on women? Maybe we should put some fucking men under accountability. Are you fucking kidding me? Teen pregnancies are on women without fathers? Regardless if a woman has a father or not. Maybe the guy should just wear a fucking condom. What is that statistic? How many teen pregnancies come from men who refuse to wear condoms because they're uncomfortable? When women are literally sacrificing bodily functions in order to use birth control just to satisfy a man. Really? You're gonna fucking sit here and pull this bullshit? Are you fucking kidding me?
Every girl that I know, if they grow up with a daddy, they get married before they have a kid.
Why do they not have fathers?
If you want me to be real, because a lot of women make bad choices on the men they procreate with.
Oh, it's on the women again. That's an interesting theory. You know what? Honestly, everything's a woman's fault. Clearly. Men can't do any wrong. No man can do anything wrong. Ever. It's always the woman's fault. If the man cheats on you, it's your fault. If the man gets you pregnant because he refuses to wear a condom, it's your fault. If the man beats you, it's your fault. Like, I do not understand where the fuck the mindset is here. Literally, it's just that everything is a woman's fault. Everything is a woman's fault. Are you fucking kidding me? When it's like literally men, like, don't even have to use their brain half the time in like these situations. Like teen pregnancy. How much teen pregnancy do you want to bet is because a man refuses to wear a condom and because women are so like ingrained from like the day they are born that like you have to basically make your life about a man. We literally watched a video today that was like, do all women think the same? And all of the questions were based around like men. All of the questions were based around men. Not a single one was based around like actual women's interests outside of the male gaze. So maybe the reason why women are getting pregnant is because from day one, they're told that everything in their life has to revolve around a man and they have to like find a suitor, and that maybe when they fall in love with someone and think that's their end all be all, they make decisions, or not even make decisions, but they get peer pressured by the man to let him go in without a condom. And then it's blamed on them when they're the ones who are being from day one indoctrinated into this idea system of everything has to revolve around a man. But somehow it's their fault. Somehow it's their fault that they are being wronged by the men in their lives. Even though men don't get half of the shit. Men are endorsed to be whores. Men are endorsed to be assholes. Men are endorsed not to care about others' feelings. Women have to serve the man, have to feed the man, have to parent the man half the time, and have to fuck them. But somehow it's still the woman's fault.
Make a bad choice, that's your
Because a man can't do one
Every
fucking
bad
thing in a
I did
relationship.
my life, it was when my daddy was in jail. When my dad was out and I had my dad's reassurance, I was a better person.
I had one daughter that had to move
Bitch,
across
please.
the country to get rid of a toxic relationship with somebody that was harming them.
Why does the woman have to move across the country because the man is being toxic?
Thank you. I don't agree with liberals often, but thank you.
Why?
On that topic.
Do you think it would be more beneficial to show police also interacting with white guys? Because more white guys get killed than black guys by cops.
Once again, if you're going to make this argument, yes. Do you want to know why? 14% of America is black Americans, and they are still rivaling policing. There are still more black people in jail than white people in jail, and okay, maybe that's a little bit stretched. I take that back. Maybe not. But there is a obscene amount of black people in comparison to white people in jail because of the fact that, and it's 14%, and it's 14%. How is the black population in prison like somewhat sizable in rivaling? Like, it shouldn't even be 50%. There shouldn't even be 50% of the population of white people of being like black individuals in America, because it's 14%. It is 14% of people in America are black, and somehow they're still rivaling. The amount of black people that got shot was at least like near a 50% margin. That shouldn't be a thing. That just shouldn't be happening. There is no plausible way that you can be like, there's no issue in America when it comes to black people, or Canada, because this also applies to Canada. Like, it makes no sense. That reads a headline of a newspaper and then doesn't read the article. He got all his information he needs. Yeah, exactly.
Of white people and the amount of black people, there are going to be more white people killed because there are more white people in America.
And like, not just that. Once again, like, it sucks. What also sucks about these videos is that, like, obviously, like, you're not able to bring any news. Like, you don't really have sources at the table to bring. Like, all these people are just doing it like out of pocket. But it's like, we looked it up. When you look at the numbers, like, the amount of black people, it's not like just like, oh, well, white people are, it's not as simple as just like, well, white people are the bigger majority. It's like, but black people are still rivaling white people, and it's literally 14% of the population. How can you justify that in any stretch?
Merit. Politics has damaged my relationship with a loved one.
Woo! You know what has damaged my relationship with a loved one? Politics and drinking. They don't go together.
I think conversations with my parents.
Yeah, and I think it's a really interesting conversation to have. And it's hard because, like, I'm a white person, obviously, so I don't feel as though it's right. But, like, there's so much intersection in a lot of these things. Like, there is, like, a known issue with homophobia in, like black male spaces, for example. Like, that is a known thing, that is an issue. As he said, in a lot of Asian communities, there is a known racist rhetoric going towards black people. And there's so much like intersectionality when having these conversations that I think are very important to have. And I'm really happy he brings stuff like this up, because they are very important to have. And it's not because they're important to have because, like, you know, oh, black people are homophobic, because that's not the rhetoric at all. It's just that the shit that is ingrained from, like, for example, things like slavery and like the systems put in place against specifically racial minority groups go so deep that it essentially makes, like, minority groups start turning against each other in order to be better in, like, the white person's eye, like the you know, the societal standards eye. If, like, a lot of times, like, these black men are homophobic, not because they, like, really give a shit about gay people, but because it's better to be homophobic and be able to, like, bond with, like, racist white people on, like, hating gay people than not, right? And it's not even just that. Like, that is just, like, a very, like, poorly done explanation, I will say, because there's so much more nuance there. Like, there is so much more nuance there, right? And I really am not the person to be having that conversation. But it is a conversation that is oftentimes, in my opinion, like, not discussed nearly enough in the intersectionality of these things. And it is a conversation that I think does need to happen in order for us all to move past, right? Because we're all suffering, so we shouldn't be going against each other. Because actually, one thing that I can't talk about is in the gay community, there's a lot of racism towards black men. 110%. There's this idea of, like, being too dark-skinned in, like, gay groups and in, like, online dating. No blacks, no fats are, like, very common terms used. That is horrendously disgusting. And it makes absolutely no sense. It makes absolutely no sense, but it makes sense because it is the idea of, like, everyone has it to a different degree. And so it makes a lot of us feel better, not us, but like a lot of these people feel better to like have these biases that better align with society, so that way, you know, they're less of an outsider. But it's like, I don't know, I feel like I feel a lot more camaraderie when I'm in a group of other diverse people than I do with like trying to like find a like boundary or like a middle ground of bigotry. I know I can personally say I feel so much more comfortable about talking about specifically my queer experience around my person of color friends than I do my white friends who are like just cisgendered and straight, because of the fact that it's not so much that we have a shared experience, but there is an amount of like, they can relate their issues in society of race to my transgenderedness, and I can relate my transgenderedness to their issues in society with race. And that we can really like have a fluid and more like nuanced conversation about those two things because we have a experience of not being favorable in society's eyes.
It was really difficult, especially around the.
I hope I said that right. If I overstepped, I'm truly very sorry. I'm trying to have nuance here, but it's also like a live broadcast, so it's kind of difficult when I'm like not scripted and not able to like fully think everything out. If I've said anything wrong, please tell me. If I've said anything offensive, tell me. I will apologize for it immediately.
Racial justice and sort of like.
I'm just trying to bring my own perspective into these things.
How to articulate it as indoctrination. People who are figuring out their sexualities and their queer identities aren't necessarily going to ascribe to the first labels that are put before them.
Isn't he Mormon? Are you Mormon and you're seriously going to say that being trans is indoctrination?
If I'm not mistaken, the brain isn't fully developed until you're 25 years old, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So I know how I used to think at 16. Man, I know how I used to think at 21.
Did you want to wear a dress when you were 16? Do you want to talk to us? Did you want to put a dress on and put a little bra on and make yourself look slutty? Did you want to look like the town slut? A little whore? A little stupid bitch, put a wig on? You wanted to be a little slut when you were 19, 20? Is that what you wanted? You wanted to put some fishnets on and really just feel beautiful, didn't you? Well, why not? Go ahead. Try it. Why don't you try it? Put on your fishnets. Let the transgender come out. Try it just once, just a little bit.
Man, I'm not against kids doing whatever they want. It's just the older you get, you change. I got my first tattoo at 15.
Oh, come on.
I was a little older.
Don't tell me another book up. That was great.
You're young, you're not thinking. And everybody has made a bad choice.
I'm allowed to make that joke. I'm trans.
Out, you go change your gender because you want to try something new. Once you do it, you can't go back. The more you throw stuff at kids before they develop, that's indoctrination because you're trying to get them while they're not fully cognitive to know what's going on.
The older you get, the more conservative you become.
When I got older and I had kids and I had a family, I actually started reading policies. Everything about me changed when I was.
I think this is yes, but I don't think it's like conservative and political mindset. I just think you get more stuck in whatever you believe. Because like, none of my family members have, as they have gotten older, have become more like conservative minded. But they become more conservative in the sense of like, they're less open to new concepts. So like one of my family members, I'm not convinced he does read the news. True. Me neither. How dare you? He reads the news. He reads Twitter feeds. But, and the comics in the back don't count. But I think it's just more so because like one of the family members that like, you know, said that stuff about transness. And I, like, doesn't understand the whole, like, non-binary thing. Has no issue with understanding, like, transitioning from male to female or female to male. Like, that is a very easy concept for them. They have no issue with it. So I think it's more so, not so much that you become more, like, conservative-minded, but you just, like, are less open to new things as you get older.
Is the best country in the world?
I did my 2 years.
I think despite all of...
No. Red flag. Red flag. Why are you, like, so happy to suck your country's dick, is the best way to put it. I never understand nationalism. I don't fucking get it. What is there to be proud of? It's a fucking government. That doesn't even that doesn't even suit your needs half the time. You guys can't even get healthcare in fucking America. Like, not that Canada's good, by the way. Like, Canada's healthcare system is only good because we live next to America. Otherwise, our healthcare fucking sucks ass. And I just don't get this whole, like, nationalistic view of, like, yes, America, or, like, whatever country you live for. Like, no. Like, you're not meant... I'm sorry for all the, like, military bitches that I'm about to trigger right now. You are not meant to serve your country. Your country's job is to serve you. You do not owe the government shit. The government owes you, as a citizen, a responsibility to keep you safe, to keep you fed, to keep you alive, and to keep you a active working member of society, in which in a lot of these countries, including America and Canada, and these Western countries that get all these props, it doesn't do that. It keeps poverty levels low due to tax issues, due to not giving affordable housing. I flunked out of college as proof that we can all achieve our dreams. Exactly. Like, this whole, like, America is the best, or whatever is the best, like, whatever country you even want to put there, because there's nationalists all over the world. Nationalism makes no fucking sense. You are not meant to serve your country. Your country serves you. Your country serves you. You do not serve your country. They should be meeting your needs. You should not be meeting your country's needs. You vote for politicians. They don't vote for you. They don't put you on a pedestal. You put them on a pedestal. So you expect them to serve the needs that you want from them, that they promised you. You gave them the power. They owe you that power.
Problems, but when you look at the big picture, everybody wants to come here. Millions of people are not trying to get into Scandinavia.
Why?
Because we have more opportunity.
Okay, you say that, and then every single immigrant that comes into your country, you fucking side-eye and call bottom feeders. Are you fucking with me? You cannot fight for this whole, we're a great country, we love immigrants. Like, what? I felt so violent towards a Jubilee video! But it's like, you can't sit here and be like, we're great for immigrants, all the immigrants want to come here, and then in the same breath be like, the immigrants are taking our job and are lazy bottom feeders, when, like, immigrants are the hardest working people in the world, and that is a fact. Freedom to be racist. Yeah, exactly.
Any other place in the world.
Because, like, never understood that argument. Like, illegal immigrants aren't stealing jobs as doctors, and yet you turn down your nose at jobs until they're unavailable to you. Exactly, and that's the problem, right? Immigrants are, like, the hardest working class because of how much they have to go through. Also, everyone only comes to America because of the fact that America is the leading power in the world, so it's smart to go there. Also, because America opens their border for this thing, it's called exploitative labor, which, if you don't know, is labor in which American governments basically allow under-the-table jobs, so that way big CEOs and big companies can pay people way less for their jobs, pay minimum wage for full-time jobs, because they're in such economic shitty positions that they just have to take that job, otherwise they will fucking die due to the American government, and this also applies to Canadian, because Canada has a really bad issue with, and I'm much more well aware of the Canadian exploitative labor here, but you exploit the labor of these people who are in extremely poor economic situations, specifically, usually immigrants, because these people are brought over to America and given absolutely no opportunities and are forced to work from bottom of the barrel. And then you say they're stealing jobs when they're literally making half of, like, what a regular American makes on a day-to-day basis, just because it's the only job that they can get and are only accessible for. It makes absolutely no sense. This argument is literally just a circle fucking jerk paradox of immigrants are taking our jobs. The jobs they're taking are not being paid at all, so what jobs are they taking? It's manual labor that no American wants to do, and it's hard work that no American wants to do, so what jobs are they taking? Oh, well, an American could take it, but an American only gets mad about these jobs being taken and only wants these jobs when someone else has it.
We have.
Make it make sense.
See,
as you said, Granddaddy. Someone pushed that old man out of his chair. He's senile. True.
Migration to Europe.
Dude, can you imagine just kicking the chair over? But now, this video may be over, but the headache remains. That's true.